This is a joke, right? She stammered. Oh, but I assure you, it's no joke, I said, smiling. See, Deborah, the house you're renting, it belongs to me. You sent me an eviction notice for a property I own, while failing to realize that you've been living in a property that I have the legal power to evict you from this entire time. Funny how that works, huh? Her hands shook as she clutched the papers, her mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. You wouldn't dare, she whispered. I tilted my head, pretending to think. Maybe not. That depends on how you want to proceed from here, because I'm done playing games. You're either stepping down from your little HOA throne, or you're stepping out of my house. Either way, Deborah, your reign is over. Her jaw clenched tightly, but I didn't wait for her response. I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there, trembling hands clutching her own eviction notice. De-escalation. This was only the beginning. The next morning, Deborah was in full denial mode. Despite holding a legally binding lease termination notice, she refused to believe I had the power to evict her. Her eyes betrayed the frantic search for some technicality she could exploit, but the law wasn't on her side. Then, as I expected, the HOA made its move. The very next morning, I received an email that didn't even require me to open it to know who was behind it. The subject line read, * illegal eviction notice, violation of HOA bylaws *. I sighed, already bracing myself for whatever nonsense Deborah had concocted. When I opened the email, I nearly laughed out loud. * Dear homeowner, it has come to our attention that you have engaged in unauthorized eviction proceedings against a resident of our community. The HOA has strict rules against retaliatory actions and unlawful displacement. Any attempts to remove a member of this community without due process will result in immediate fines and further legal action. Please consider this your official warning *. Immediate fines. Legal action. This was rich. I had to admire her audacity. Deborah was trying to weaponize the HOA's authority to protect herself, but what she failed to grasp was that HOA rules don't override state landlord-tenant laws. I wasn't even intimidated. I drafted a response to the HOA, keeping it as professional as possible while making it clear that I wasn't backing down. * subject. Response to illegal eviction notice. Violation of HOA bylaws *. Dear HOA compliance team, *. Thank you for your message regarding unlawful evictions. However, Deborah Whitman is not a resident of this community in the sense you describe. She is my tenant. As the legal owner of her property, I have the right to terminate her lease for cause, which I have already done in full compliance with state and federal housing laws. My decision is not subject to HOA oversight. Furthermore, any attempts by the HOA to interfere with lawful landlord-tenant matters could be considered harassment, for which I am prepared to take legal action if necessary *. Best regards, your favorite landlord. The police arrive. I hit send and sat back satisfied. Deborah could try to weaponize the HOA all she wanted, but it wouldn't change the fact that she was out of moves. Or so I thought. Later that afternoon, I heard a knock at my door. Upon opening it, I was greeted by 2 police officers standing on my porch. Sir, we need to speak with you regarding a complaint, one said. I sighed, already exhausted by the situation's sheer pettiness. Let me guess, I said. Deborah Whitman called you? The officers exchanged cautious glances. She did, one finally admitted. She claims you're attempting an unlawful eviction and that you're using intimidation tactics. I nodded and stepped aside. Come on in, officers. I have plenty to show you. I pulled out everything. Deborah's lease agreement, the termination notice, the multiple lease violations. I even showed them the HOA's email and my response. The officers read through everything methodically. This is completely legal, one officer remarked. She's not being evicted unlawfully." The other officer nodded, turning back to me. "Sorry about this, sir. This happens more often than you'd think. Some people don't understand that HOA rules don't override property ownership." Moving to Ridgewood Estates. When I first moved into Ridgewood Estates, I anticipated the usual growing pains of settling into a new neighborhood, figuring out trash pickup days, getting to know the neighbors, and learning the community's unwritten rules. What I didn't expect was to encounter a self-appointed dictator named Deborah Whitman, who seemed to think she had the final say over everyone's lives. From the moment I arrived, she made it clear that she had a personal vendetta against me. I had no idea why. Perhaps she didn't like homeowners who dared not to bow to her authority, or maybe she just had too much free time on her hands. The more likely explanation was that I had unknowingly become the target she had been waiting for, someone to challenge her reign. The HOA strikes. It all began small, a series of passive-aggressive notes about how my lawn wasn't trimmed to HOA standards, complaints about my trash bins being an inch too far from the curb, even a ridiculous warning about the brightness of my porch light at night. Each week brought a new complaint, a new warning, a new infraction that I was supposedly guilty of. At first, I complied, trimming my lawn, adjusting my bins, and dimming my porch light, hoping to appease this tyrant. But Deborah had already decided that I didn't belong in Ridgewood Estates. Then one Tuesday morning, I checked my mail and found an official-looking envelope stamped with the HOA logo. Expecting yet another petty fine, I opened it only to find something far more absurd, an eviction notice. I blinked in disbelief. I owned my home, and there was no feasible way the HOA had the authority to evict me. Yet there it was, printed in Deborah's usual condescending tone. "Dear homeowner, after careful review, the HOA has determined that your property does not align with the established guidelines and aesthetic values of our community. Due to multiple infractions and ongoing disputes, we have initiated the process to have you removed from the premises. You have 30 days to vacate the property or face legal action *. I couldn't help but laugh. Legal action. The HOA had no power to evict a homeowner. However, the final line of the letter caused me to freeze. Failure to comply may result in foreclosure proceedings. That wasn't an empty threat. Some HOAs abused their authority, leveraging fines and obscure bylaws to push homeowners into financial distress, sometimes leading to actual foreclosure sales. The power shift. Fortunately, Deborah didn't realize I owned the very house she was living in. Yes, she wasn't merely my overbearing HOA neighbor, she was my tenant. Through a series of investment purchases, I had unknowingly become her landlord. I chuckled, shaking my head at the absurdity of it all. She had just attempted to evict the person who could legally evict her. I pulled up my property management files and confirmed it. Deborah's lease agreement, signed and dated. My name, Michael Carter, sat at the top as the legal property owner. I skimmed through the document, ensuring there were no loopholes I had overlooked. Everything was airtight. Deborah wasn't just a power-hungry HOA president. She was a renter who had breached her lease by harassing other residents, making unauthorized alterations to the property, and attempting to interfere with legal property ownership. I drafted my response to her eviction notice, but stopped halfway through. No, this deserved more than an email. If Deborah wanted a fight, I would give her war. The confrontation. That afternoon, I took a slow walk toward Deborah's house, the house I owned. As expected, she was outside lecturing a poor neighbor about their garden fence being half an inch too high. When she spotted me, her expression shifted into her rehearsed look of superiority. "I assume you got the notice," she said, folding her arms. "It's nothing personal, but the HOA has made its decision. You don't fit the community standards, and we can't have that." I savored the moment, taking a deep breath. "Oh, I got the notice," I said smoothly. "And I have a response." I reached into my folder and pulled out a lease termination agreement. Her confident smirk faltered. "What is this?" she asked, snatching the paper. I watched as her eyes scanned the words, and it took a moment for the realization to hit. When it did, her face became pale. I chuckled dryly. "Yeah, I'm getting that impression." The officers left shortly after, but before doing so, one of them made sure to stop at Deborah's door. I caught only the tail end of their conversation, but it was clear. One officer was firmly telling her, "Ma'am, this is a civil issue, not a police matter. Don't call us again unless there's a real emergency." That was the first crack in Deborah's armor, but it wouldn't be the last. The formal notice. Next, I filed a formal legal notice with the court to move forward with her eviction. Once that paperwork was in motion, there was no stopping it. Deborah had 30 days to leave, but I already knew she wouldn't go quietly, and I was more than ready for whatever ridiculous stunt she might pull next. The deadline came and went, and despite everything, Deborah still hadn't packed a single box. For 30 days, she threw every desperate move she could think of to stall the inevitable. She filed a bogus harassment complaint against me, which was immediately dismissed when I provided the police with full documentation. She tried to get the HOA to intervene again, only to be met with silence after they realized the dispute fell outside their purview. She even sought a loophole in her lease agreement, but my contract was airtight. Standing on her front porch that day, I was ready to see it all come to a head. The sheriff's department arrived right on time. 2 uniformed officers stepped out and walked straight to Deborah's door. I stood across the street, arms crossed, watching the showdown unfold. When she opened it, I could see the struggle to maintain her composure. But when she recognized what was happening, her face twisted into shock. One of the officers cleared his throat and spoke in a firm, non-nonsense voice. "Ma'am, we're here to execute a court-ordered eviction. You have 15 minutes to vacate the premises. Any remaining belongings will be removed by a locksmith and a cleanup crew." Her face turned red. "This is my home. You can't just..." The officer didn't flinch. "No, ma'am, this is his home." He pointed directly at me. "You were given 30 days notice along with multiple legal warnings. You are now trespassing on private property. If you do not comply, we will have no choice but to place you under arrest." That got her attention. Deborah, the almighty HOA enforcer, was now the one violating the law. Desperation seeped into her voice as she turned to me. "You don't have to do this. We can work something out." Her fingers trembled as they clenched the eviction notice. I could see the storm of rage brewing beneath her surface. "Oh, now you want to negotiate?" I asked, my voice laced with mock amusement. After she had tried to kick me out of my own home and dragged me through bogus fines, police calls, and HOA nonsense. She opened her mouth to respond, but I didn't give her the chance. "No, Deborah," I interrupted sharply. "You made your bed, now lie in it." For the first time, I saw the reality hit her like a freight train. She had lost everything. The years of mind games, the petty power struggles, all led to this moment. The final descent. In an unexpected move, Deborah stormed back inside, shoulders rigid, hands clenched into fists. I had assumed she'd go quietly, but I should have known better. Suddenly, I heard a loud crash. "Ma'am, step away from the property," an officer shouted as they rushed toward the house. Deborah had lost it. One crash after another filled the air as she wreaked havoc on the interior. Picture frames shattered, furniture was kicked across the room, and drawers were yanked open, contents flying everywhere. All the while, she screamed obscenities, her voice raw with fury. The officers were inside in seconds, one stepping in front of her with his hands raised. "Ma'am, stop right now." The moment she turned on them, wild-eyed and breathless, screaming, "This is my home. You have no right to do this." I rubbed a hand down my face in exasperation. One officer turned to me. "Would you like to press charges for property damage?" Oh, it was tempting, but I had already won, and I wasn't about to drag this out any longer than necessary. "Not unless she'd break something major," I replied. "I just want her out." The officer nodded, returning to Deborah. "You have 5 minutes to collect your belongings and leave, ma'am, or we will escort you out ourselves." 15 minutes later, Deborah stomped down the steps of my house, dragging a single battered suitcase behind her. Her face was red, and I couldn't tell if the flush came from rage or humiliation. She glared at me, and I could see one last flicker of defiance in her eyes. Just before she got to her car, she opened her mouth as if she was about to say something, one last insult, an attempt to regain some dignity, but then nothing came. There was simply nothing left to say. With a harsh exhale, she turned, got into her car, and sped off without another word. The officers beside me secured the house, changing the locks and finalizing the paperwork. Finding peace. And just like that, it was over. Deborah Whitman, the nightmare of the neighborhood, the self-appointed queen of the HOA, the woman who had tried to rule Ridgewood Estates with an iron fist, was finally gone. I stood on my front porch, breathing a long sigh of relief. For the first time since moving into this community, I felt peace. No more bogus fines, no more threats, no more battles over community standards. It was finally over. Then, the next morning, as I sipped my coffee on the porch, my phone buzzed with a new email. I frowned as I tapped the screen, reading the subject line. *HOA Board Vacancy Invitation to Apply*. I opened the email, unable to stop myself from laughing. *Dear homeowner, due to recent vacancies, there is now an open seat on the Ridgewood Estates HOA Board. As a valued member of the community, we invite you to apply for this position*. I shook my head, still chuckling. Deborah's house was empty, the neighborhood was quiet, and now they wanted me to replace her. I closed the email without replying and went about my day, because I knew, without a doubt, I would never join that corrupt board. But I would enjoy knowing that wherever Deborah was, she was likely miserable, aware that she had lost everything. And that was enough for me. Conclusion. The story of Deborah Whitman is more than just a tale of poetic justice. It serves as a cautionary tale about power, accountability, and the consequences of unchecked authority. At its core, this narrative highlights the abuse of power and the importance of standing up for oneself. Through the events that unfolded, we can extract valuable lessons applicable not only to HOA conflicts but also to life, leadership, and human nature. 1. Power is not absolute. Authority must be justified and fair. Deborah believed her position entitled her to control others, but true leadership is about guiding with integrity. 2. Know your rights. Knowledge is the best defense. Michael was able to combat Deborah's tactics because he understood his rights and was not intimidated by her manipulation. 3. Arrogance leads to downfall. Deborah's overconfidence blinded her, causing her to underestimate Michael's legal position. No one is above the law. 4. Consequences are inevitable. Actions have ramifications. Deborah's manipulative tactics eventually led to her eviction as she pushed against the wrong person. 5. Revenge is best served legally and ethically. Michael's victory came through justice rather than underhanded tactics, sending a powerful message about accountability. 6. Some people never learn. Deborah's refusal to accept responsibility for her actions demonstrated that some people will always deflect blame. You don't need to change toxic people. You just need to remove their influence from your life. 7. True victory is moving on. The final invitation from the HOA was ironic, transitioning from antagonist to potential leader. However, Michael recognized that the real victory came not from power, but from reclaiming his peace. Deborah may have believed she was untouchable, but the law and karma had other plans.